Hello, welcome everyone to the Eduonix YouTube channel. My name is Jeffrey Sweeney, and we are going to quickly go over the basics of Node.js, NPM, WebPack, and Babel. So to start off with, if you haven't already downloaded Node, you'll want to go to the Node homepage and do such. It's just nodejs.org/en. If you type it in your search bar, you'll probably find it. So, Node.js. Node.js is JavaScript for your desktop, your server, your anything that isn't necessarily the web browser. I already have it installed, and I'm going to show you what you can do with it. So, yes, Node.js works just like JavaScript in the browser, but instead of an API for accessing the web page, it has an API to do operating system level things like file manipulation. So if you're familiar with callbacks in JavaScript, like on click or mouse move or something like that, the same kind of paradigm exists in Node.js. It's just for operating system level things like writing a file or reading a file or anything like that. So assuming you've installed Node.js, you can double check by opening your Windows command prompt or Mac terminal or whatever you're using and type node version just to make sure we have it. So I'll be using something close to version 11.11.0, but I think you'll be okay as long as you're kind of in that range. So we'll start by running the node read eval print loop. And you can just type node in the console. That's REPL. If you've seen that acronym before, that's what it stands for. And at this point, we could just run some node commands. So I'll just do a couple things here. Console.log hello. There you go. 2 plus 2. You can write functions in this thing. Getting ahead of myself. Return. There we go. So we defined a function, and we can call it. So you can see here, it's pretty similar to what you'd expect from JavaScript in the console. I mean, I can open up the console here and do basically the same stuff. You can just copy paste it. No, I don't really need to copy 2 plus 2, but there we go. Yeah, so essentially the same thing as running it in the console here. But again, this is running directly on my computer. So we can do operating system level things with it, which we'll get into a little bit later. One of the things you can do with Node.js on your desktop or server or whatever is run external scripts. So I'm going to make a new script file here. Well, actually, that's to do with importing files, but yes, you can also run script files in Node.js, similar to how you'd run a script in the browser. So just to show you an example of that, I'm going to make a... I'm still in Node. Okay. So I've created a script file. At this point, pretty similar to what you'd do if you're making a script for a web page or something. And you can put any code you want in here. I'll put Sure. And then to run that, you would just type node again, but instead of just that, you would also specify you want to run the script. Cool, and you can see that the message is being executed there. And again, same thing, you could write an external script file, put it in your web page, does the same thing at this point. All right. Now, is everyone here familiar with the window object in JavaScript? So in Node.js, we don't have window, we have global, and that's where the differences really start to be made apparent. So global includes a function for importing and exporting dependencies or packages in Node.js that come bundled with Node.js but not automatically included when you run a script. So if you're familiar with different programming languages like, say, Java, C++, C#, you import packages as you need them. You don't start the runtime with everything available. And Node.js is very similar. It doesn't include all of the APIs for working with files, for example. And of course, again, as I said, this is where the differences start to crop up because there is no concept of a file system in the browser because you're running in the browser. You might have a concept of local storage or something, but yeah, that's a different topic. Anyway, to import stuff for, say, file manipulation, we'll try. We'll do require. Okay, so the require statement is a property on global, so I could just as easily write that if I wanted to. At least I'm pretty sure I could. Let's try it real quick. Where does he go? Okay, never mind. Require is not a property in global, it's actually a real global property. But in any case, the require is a function for importing external or internal packages of Node.js. In this case, the file system package, which comes bundled when you download Node.js. So it includes functions for reading and writing files, going through directories, permissions, that sort of thing. We're going to try just writing a file to make sure everything's working here. So I'll do fs.write file sync. We're not going to worry about asynchronous stuff right now. Sample file. And let's just make it say hello. Cool. And just to verify that we got this far. Cool. Run the script again. And you can see here a file written popped up, and we see a little sample file appeared in the directory. I can open it up. And there you go. Hello. So, that's cool. We can import local packages and everything. Now, what if we want to include dependencies that don't come bundled in Node.js? And there are many of them. Well, we would use the Node Package Manager, which is NPM. If you've seen NPM before, that's what it stands for. It allows developers to download and deploy multiple Node packages, external of course. You should have had NPM installed when you installed Node, so we can verify that is the case. You can type NPM version. There we go, 6.9.0, good enough. So, how does NPM work? NPM works with manifest files called package.json files. They determine the name, version, dependencies, and that sort of thing for the package. You can write them manually or have NPM generate it for you. But for the sake of showing how this all works, I'll do it manually first. So let me just create a new file here. And you guys should be familiar with the package.json format. It's basically an object literal in JavaScript, except a little more strict. So I'll go over that in a bit more detail here. But anyway, let's go through this. Name. This will be the name of the package, which isn't too important if it's just a local package, but we'll put it in just for the heck of it. I'll call it my package. Cool. So typically the names of packages is in caterpillar case, which means all lowercase with a hyphen. That's what you'll normally see. We'll get into that more later when we start to download external packages. All right, so we got name. We'll say version. 1.0.0 is good. Version has to be in semver format, which, if you're not familiar, it's just major, minor, bug fix. You can look that up online. There's other nuances if you're curious about it, but this is pretty important for NPM to work properly, so make sure you enter the right version number. Syntax. Cool. And then the main entry point. Since we have a script file already, we'll just say script.js. So this will define, if this were to be an external package or even a local package, where the main entry point is. So we'll say script.js. All right. Now to run that, we could just run the script file directly, or because this is now technically an NPM package, because we have this file here, we can type node dot, and what will happen is Node will say, do I have a package.json in this local directory? I do. Okay, what's the main entry point? Script.js. So you can see that works, and we still have the file getting written. I'll actually delete the file so you can see it in action. Yep, still works. Now, you might have gotten to this point and saw an error due to improper JSON syntax or something. So I'll just make a purposeful error here so you can see what happens. So I'm missing a double quote. You can see syntax error. So if you see something like this, it's because there's a issue with the package.json file. It isn't always easy to tell you where it is, but I mean, it's pretty specific here. But yeah, so if you see something like this, it just means that this has not been formatted properly. All right, so you probably don't want to have to type this file every time you make a new package, which I mean, it isn't that much, but it is extra work, and as developers, we don't like doing extra work. So I'm actually going to get rid of this file, and we're going to recreate it. Let me close this. No, I don't want to save. Also, I'm sick of this DS store thing. It'll probably come back later, but I don't care. Anyway, so we're going to type in the console npm init, and that will go through a little script that shows you how to more or less automatically create this package.json file. All right, what will be the name of it? Sure, it's just the default package name is whatever folder I'm in, so that's fine. Version, sure. I'm just pressing enter, by the way. I'm just not typing anything. Description, we didn't go over, but this is what other people would see if they're trying to download your package on the NPM repository, which I'll show you later. Not important. We're not going to be deploying this or publishing this. Entry point. So the npm init command is smart enough to know if there's only one script file or something to use that as the main entry point. And the only script file we have here is script.js, so we'll use that. If you run this command with nothing in this folder, it's going to, by default, go to index.js, I believe. And that's fine. It doesn't really matter too much. So, sure, script.js. Test command, we're not going to run tests, so just automatically generate something. There's no git repository. No keywords for searching. Author, you'd put your email here if you want to, but we don't really care. License just means anyone can take. Use at your own risk. Cool, so it's going to generate this file. So I'm going to press enter. Now open package.json, and you can see, kind of similar. We got names a little different because we just used the default. Main entry point is script.js. You'll notice this scripts object also got thrown in, and we'll go over this in a bit here. Actually, I can just do it now. So a scripts in the package.json file allows you to run extra scripts as well as the main script or whatever that the package would use. This is typically used for, as we can see here, test or making a build script or some sort of deploy job that's related to the package you're creating, particularly in development. So just as an example, we can see this in action here. npm, you type npm run and then the name of the script. So it'd be test in this case. And we can see here it's just saying there's no test specified. So that's correct. There is no test specified. It's a little weird that that kind of error is being generated, though. Anyway, yes. We can make our own custom scripts here, too. But, yeah, we can do that now, actually. So, a common script besides testing is building. And that would be, you want to prepare a file for maybe the browser, or you just want to clean something up, run it through a transpiler of some kind to change the syntax a bit. So we're going to write our own script here. First, I'm going to make a new file called build.js. And it won't really do anything yet. We'll just make it show something. Build steps will go here. Okay. And now, to make Node run that, we would make build as a property. And we just type node build dot. Cool. Don't forget the comma. So the commands here, by the way, these aren't in JavaScript. These are going to be in, depending what platform you're on, either a shell script or a bash script or whatever the OS foundation is. So it's really important that you're very careful of how you write this part if you want it to be cross-platform. This command will work in both Mac and Windows and Linux. But if you type specific commands, like if you're to put like ls in here or something, actually, ls would cause problems on the Windows machine. So you gotta be really careful of what you write here. But I know this will work, and usually this is the extent of what a build script's gonna do anyway. So now we can type npm run build, and you can see it just ran that script that we just wrote because we put this here. So that'll come in handy later. Okay, now we want to download an external dependency that is not included in Node.js. For the sake of experiments, we can download cowsay. So if anyone, I could show you guys what cowsay looks like. Looks like I don't have it open in npm.js cowsay. Sure. So cowsay is just a fun little project someone made. I forget what the original target was, but you describe a message for a little ASCII cow to display. Not much to it, but it shows that we can use external dependencies because obviously this does not come bundled with Node. We have to include it. So first we have to install this dependency. So I'm going to do that with NPM. So to do that, there's several ways. You can actually define the dependency directly in this file, or you can type this command. So we're going to download from the command line here. Save cowsay. So I'll just walk through this. NPM, of course, Node Package Manager. Install, that says I want to download. Save says I want to save the third-party dependency and its dependencies locally into the folder that I'm currently in. And then you have the name of the package. You can also specify other things here, such as version, or you can install it as a global dependency, which means you can run this from anywhere. We want this specifically in this package. So npm install cowsay. Okay. Now, what happened here? Well, we got a couple of new files here, or one file in the folder. First, we have this package lock.json. So this is, I think this came in NPM 5, and what this does is it ensures that all of the dependency and its dependencies versions are consistent if you were to move this to a different computer or something. Typically because, well, let me describe node modules first. Maybe that'll make more sense. Node modules includes, of course, what we just downloaded, the cowsay, and then anything it depends on. So if I go back here, you can see it has 4 dependencies. And it needs these packages, which themselves have their own dependencies. So that's what all these folders are. So, and they all have their own versions too. So what the package lock.json file is for ensuring that these versions don't get too mixed up. Because if you move this to a different computer or something, you'll typically, or you deploy it, you will not include this node modules folder because you don't need to include all of the dependencies because you have NPM to download them. So the package lock just makes sure that the versions don't get super mixed up. Anyway, let's edit the script file and make use of this new dependency we downloaded. Oh yeah, I'm forgetting a step here. So you probably also noticed this popped up. Dependencies, cowsay, version about 1.4.0, or anything compatible with 1.4.0. So basically similar to the version number here. You can make this a specific version if you want to, but if you, by removing this little caret here, it's just a semver syntax thing. But when you downloaded cowsay, it just said, okay, the latest version is this, so if I were to reinstall, we just make sure the version's around here, because I know it's compatible. All right, whatever. So now we have cowsay locally in this node modules folder. How do we include it in our script? I'm actually going to get rid of all the code here and start over. So first of all, let's include the cowsay module. And actually what's cool is that if you download from the NPM registry, I guess I didn't have to do that, it'll actually show you how to use it too, typically, on the homepage of the dependency. So we're going to basically type what's here. So you can see this is just like including the file system package that comes bundled with Node, except for requires going to say, oh, do I have anything in this local package? I do. Awesome. And I'll just make it display a message. Console log, cowsay, and let's see, text. I'm pretty sure cows go moo, so we'll make it say moo. And for its eyes, we'll make little happy eyes. There, and that should work. So I'm going to run the command again. So I'll just run node dot, which basically, to recap, put this here. Node dot will say, okay, run the main script, which is this, require cowsay, and then run the command on it. There we go. So little happy cow saying moo. So we know that works. All right. So that's neat and all. There's not much use in this other than to note that you can download external dependencies and run them in Node. Let's rewrite the script a bit, though. I don't care about this cowsay module anymore. In fact, we could probably get rid of it from dependencies, too, so I'll keep it. There's no harm in it. Okay. So let's say I want to have a project split up into two files, which certainly we're doing that already with external dependencies, but two local files for displaying a message. I mean, you might be doing something a little more complex than that, and you want to separate concerns. But I'm going to, for the sake of example, put a show message file that will be responsible for displaying messages. We'll put it up here. And what we'll do, function show message. Okay. So, and then script. Yeah, we'll do this part first. Okay, first of all, we have this function. How do we export it so that other scripts can see it within Node.js via the common JS syntax? So we went over how require works. What if we want to export something? We'll type module.exports, learn how to spell. And how the common JS syntax works is you define this property, and then we'll define to show message. And then, if other files choose to require this local file, they'll have access to whatever was exported via this property within this file. So I'm going to do var show message in the script.js file equals require. Now, it's not a typical require. You don't just type show message like you would for cowsay or fs or something like that. If it's a local file, you have to type // or the relative path to the file itself. So if this isn't a folder, it'd be /folder/ or even up a directory. Anyway, show message.js. And you also have to include the extension. So now this script.js file should have what was exported here, which is this function. So now we can call it greetings. All right, so now we have a project that this is the main entry point, and it's split up into two files because it goes to here to call this function. So we'll just do node dot there. So message greetings. So we got the message from this part and the greetings from this part. Okay. So we know this works. Now, what about running this in the browser? Because Node.js and the browser is similar, syntactically certainly. It's both JavaScript. But what about this require statement? Let me create a index.js file. Or HTML file, rather. Sure, we'll just put here. I'll go too crazy here. I have this thing where I have to make the HTML as correct as I can, even if it's not that important and it's good enough, so my apologies. HTML needs a title. Let's call it, will this work? And the body, we'll specify the script. So if you guys have not gone over this before, if you've read Yahoo's performance, wow, what good spelling there. Yeah, read Yahoo's performance suggestions. Unless you're using deferred or async, preferably deferred, you'll want to put script tags at the bottom of the body tag so all the content loads first. But yeah, that's not really the focus of this discussion. Okay, so we're just going to include this script file, which requires this show message thing, and we'll just see what happens. I happen to have the page open already. Okay, so we should see greetings in the console, right? Oops. Not so much. Requires not defined. And that is true because the web browser does not have a concept of Node.js's common JS style require statement. So how do we remedy this? Because obviously we would benefit from having projects split up into multiple files in JavaScript. Well, one solution is to use WebPack, which you may have heard of before. And it's for bundling. Hold on. Yes. So Webpack's for bundling typically multiple JavaScript files into one file. You could also convert CSS into basically JavaScript or other things like Sass into CSS, images into base64 images, that sort of thing. And this is a Node.js package we can download. So we already went over how to install node packages. Let's try installing this one. NPM install save dev webpack. So for our purposes, it wouldn't matter if we used save or save dev here, but what save dev does is it specifies this is not a normal dependency, this is a dev dependency. And the difference is a dev dependency, if we were to deploy our package, well, let me install it first. And open package.json here. You'll see that a different object will appear specifying the webpack dependency when it finishes up here. But anyway, the difference between a dev dependency and a dependency is that if we were to deploy this package for some reason, we wouldn't care about dev dependencies. And dev dependencies are typically things such as webpack or something that runs test because, for example, Cowsay, if it has its own unit test, we, the consumer, don't care about those tests. We don't need to download Mocha or whatever in order to make sure Cowsay works. So, okay, so we have dev dependencies. It just means that what other people will see is just this part, or whatever is specified here. Okay, so we have Webpack now. And if you recall, we already had a build.js script here. It didn't really do much of anything. So let's make it do something. I'm going to clean this up a bit. Let me close these folders up. Okay. So, just like before, their Webpack. We'll include the Webpack dependency. And we're also going to need the path module that comes bundled with Node.js because we'll need to get an absolute path to this folder later. So, just do that now. Cool. All right, now specify the Webpack config. Wow, my battery's died a lot. I guess that's what happens when you use a 6-year-old Mac running full resolution QuickTime. All right, so first we have to specify the Webpack configuration. Entry. This will be the main entry point of the package that we're including. So, or bundling rather. So this, of course, will be script.js. Oh, make sure it's a relative path. Okay, next, we gotta specify the mode. So in Webpack, you can specify, I think the two main modes are production or development. We're gonna do development here. And what this says is, for among other things, when I bundle it, don't make it as small as possible. Don't minify it, because I might want to make sure everything is working correctly. And certainly for our purposes, that's what we're more concerned about. Okay, output. This is going to be where the resulting bundle ends up. So we'll say path. So this is where we're going to use the path dependency we included, or package we included. Path resolve just says, give me the full path to this current location, which is what we want. And then file name, call it bundle.js. So we'll take this script in, and we'll manage all the require statements, squish it into one file, and then create a bundle.js file at this location in development mode, so don't minify it. That's what this configuration means. We could also specify a callback function, so call onComplete, error data, stats rather, be more specific here. If error, yeah, if you haven't used Node before, a very common convention with callback functions is the first parameter is always an error object if there is an error, or it's null if everything's fine. So we'll assume everything's fine with this. Console.log stats to string. Come on. There we go. And now we'll just call Webpack. So Webpack, first parameter is the config. Second is the onComplete function. All right. Now I guess we just gotta run it. Oh, yeah, we'll run it first. So npm run build. So this will run a build script, which is now running this. We can see that it created the bundle. We got some statistics that we're outputting down here. And we got this new file. So let's open this up. So first of all, you'll notice my linter really doesn't like this file because it's doing everything wrong according to it. But this is legitimate JavaScript. Everything's fine. Lots of combination code and weird stuff going up here. just part of it being in development mode. Don't have to worry too much about it. What's really important when you bundle is what's down here at the bottom. And you'll see here that these two little eval statements are very similar to the two script files we created. We got var show message equals greetings. That'd be the main entry point, I suppose. And then this is that. Actually, this is the show message file. We can see the message console log, and then this. So whenever you're using Webpack and you start to have some weird issues, always check the bundled file in development mode and make sure everything looks good here. Okay, and now we just have to open index.js and say, I don't want to use the script file, I want to use the bundle.js file. And then we'll go back to here, and well, you know it works. Because now we're not loading the script that has that require statement, we're loading the bundle, which has the legitimate JavaScript that says, hey browser, here's how you handle this stuff. And this thing is self-contained, you can put it anywhere you want. Very good. All right, what else can Webpack do? Well, we're not going to go over all of the things it can do, because it can certainly do a lot. But one of the more popular things it is used for these days is transpiling not just ES6, but ES7, ES8 into a backwards compatible format that really old browsers can use, because the new JavaScript features aren't available to everyone yet. So that is typically done with Babel, pronounce it however you want. It's, yeah, they call it a JavaScript compiler, but what it does is it takes new JavaScript and transpiles it in such a way that older browsers can consume it, and you can do it through Webpack. Oh, before I go on, one thing I wanted to mention here, this whole build.js thing using Webpack this way. There are other ways to use Webpack. You can specify a dedicated Webpack config JSON file. And I think there's some other ways too. I prefer using a build.js approach because it allows me to do other things, such as maybe I want to copy static files. Like I might have an indexed HTML file I want to put into a different location, as well as creating the bundle. So this has been a lot more useful for me over the years. So I'd recommend doing it in this manner. But anyway, so we have Babel here. And to use it in Webpack, we're going to need 3 new dependencies downloaded. So I'm going to put those here. Actually, no, before I do that, let's show what happens without Babel. So I'm going to open show message and make this use some ES6 features. So const. So first of all, const as opposed to var, so it says this reference must not change. That's kind of a newish feature, certainly compared to variable. Equals, and it's no longer a function, it's going to be an arrow function. And I won't go into the details of how those work, but basically it's just like a function, except for it's written like this. There's no this reference. If there's only one parameter, parentheses are optional, and return is not always required. But yeah, we won't get into that. The point is, older browsers will have no idea what's going on here. So let me try that. NPM run build again. Very good. I'm going to open the bundle now, and let's go down to the bottom again. So we could see on all the changes that I just made. So we still have const. We have this arrow function syntax. Chrome's pretty good as far as keeping up to speed of everything. So if I refresh the page here, it still works. It knows how to handle this code. But if you're using an older browser for some reason, or you're stuck with, you're making like an intranet application that only Internet Explorer 10, or I should say like 3 can work, and you have issues with this, you're going to want to make this as backwards compatible as possible. So let's get Babel installed, and then we can do that. So I'll go back to here. So you'll need 3 dependencies if you're using it for Webpack. So I'll be npm install save dev. First you'll need Babel core. I'll explain these once I have them start downloading. You'll also need Babel preset env and Babel loader. Okay, and I think that's correct. So yeah, you can specify multiple dependencies in one console, or yeah, terminal command here, just by separating it with spaces. So everything will be added to this dev dependencies. Okay, so what's Babel core? Babel core is the foundation of Babel and is what performs the transpiling operation. The preset env dependency defines what needs to be transpiled. It offers options to allow developers to dictate the target browsers they need to support and utilize just the right amount of native ES6, which is to say, maybe we don't need to transpile arrow functions because they are pretty widely supported now, but there might be newer things such as maybe maps or sets or symbols where we want to transform that, just not other stuff. And then Babel Loader is a Webpack specific thing. It allows Webpack to make use of Babel. Okay, so now we have this dependency. How do we use it? So let's go to the build.js file again. And we're going to add a parameter here, and we're going to call it module. I'll just type it and then I'll explain it. So web module, rules, and then we got to specify a new rule here. All right. Hold on. Yeah, Babel plugins to Webpack via a module rule. That's why we have those objects there. Inside is an array of rules we create the object with, given that any file that ends with, we'll specify that now, JS. We can use a regular expression here. So we're making a rule that says if you end with JS, and I don't care about what's in the node modules folder. Man, I can't spell today. I really cannot spell today. And it's not in the node modules folder. We want to use the loader we downloaded, Babel Loader. Okay. So if you're not following the regular expressions, don't worry. Basically, it just means if it ends with a .js and that's the last characters, and it's not in the node modules folder, we use Babel Loader, and now we have to specify the options for that. So that'd be options, presets, Babel. Oh, this is the other dependency we downloaded. And Babel Core is just something that comes with this stuff. Okay. What am I missing here? Oh, yes. If you're using an older version of Webpack, you might have seen something very similar to this if you're using Webpack 3 or 2 or something. This is the syntax for Webpack 4. So if you search online for how do I use Babel, and you're doing exactly what they say, and it still doesn't work, make sure you have all these same dependencies and versions. Like, just bookmark this YouTube section and just say, okay, I want Webpack 4.30.7.7.8 for Babel, and it needs to look like this. I ran into so many problems when I was learning about Webpack and Babel because everything online was like 3 years old and didn't work. So just make sure you get this right with the versions are correct and everything. And I think that's all we need to do to get Babel to work. So let's try running it again. So I keep typing node, npm run build. Make sure that works. Good, looks good. Open the bundle again. Okay. And yep, you can see here it's a little different now. So instead of the whole const show message, it's now there, and instead of the arrow function, it's just the function. We'll go back here and refresh the page. Still works. So that's, not much to show for it, but you can see Babel is working. So if we were to put this on an older browser, everything would be good. And I think that really covers the basics of Webpack, Babel, and Node and NPM. We went over a lot here, so thanks for sticking through. Anyway, yes, thanks for watching, everyone, and please subscribe to our channel and check out some more tutorials. Have a good day.